press and public on request. This meeting will not be broadcast live. However, a recording will be made available as soon as possible after the meeting is concluded. So we welcome the use of Welsh language at meetings. I've had no requests for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Please can members attending via Microsoft Teams refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. And please remember to keep your microphone muted when you are not talking. Okay, so moving on to the agenda. Agenda item 1, welcome and apologies. Geraint, do we have any apologies, please?
Thank you. Yeah, we've got apologies from Catherine Peggington and Councillors Ashley and Byrne. And we've also got apologies on an officer front from Nigel Aurelius and Dave Lilly.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 2, declaration of interest. Geraint, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they have any interest to declare?
No problem, thank you. So if I can start with Councillor Jones, please.
And no interest to declare.
Thank you. Yourself, Chair?
No interest.
No. Mark?
Nothing, Joe.
Thank you. Councillor Slade?
Nothing for me.
And Councillor Williams, please. Was that nothing, Councillor Williams?
That was nothing, sorry, my hand slipped on the mic button.
No worries, cheers, that's everybody.
Okay, thank you. So, agenda item 3, minutes of the Governance and Audit Committee from June 29, 2022. Members, could you please state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I'll take them as agreed. No? Okay.
You're all happy, thumbs.
Okay, minutes agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 4, minutes of the Governance and Audit Committee from 29th of September 2022. Members, could you please state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as agreed. Nods? Yeah?
Yeah, they're all happy.
Okay, thank you for that. Agreed. Agenda item 5, action sheet. Members, could you please state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the action sheet? If not, we can note its contents.
I don't think there are any actions on it.
There's no actions apparently. Okay, many thanks. So those contents are noted. Agenda item 6, Audit Wales quarterly programme update. Who's going to do the presentation? Is it Bethan or Julie?
Good morning, Chair. Both of us. If I can start, please. So, good morning. Item number 6 is our quarterly update. I'll just start off by giving you a brief update on the financial audit work progress to date, and then I'll hand over to my colleague Bethan to take you through the rest of the report. So, in terms of the financial audit of the 21-22 accounts, the audit is still in progress. There's been a couple of significant issues this year, not Torfaen specifically, nationally, regards property, plant and equipment, in particular how they're valued, and there's another issue ongoing to do with infrastructure. Like I said, these aren't just local to Torfaen, these are the national issues, and so we're just waiting and working through the culmination of those issues to close off the audit, and in particular on the infrastructure assets we're waiting for some work to have completed by SIPFA and Welsh Government on that before we're able to conclude the audit on Torfaen. So at the moment the audit's still ongoing, and we will provide an update in due course then. I'm happy to take any questions at that point, or I can hand over to my colleague Bethan, who will take you through the performance audit work.
Okay, I'll just check then. Thank you, Julie. Are there any questions? Yes.
Councillor Williams.
Councillor Williams. Yeah.
It was just to ask Julie, really, is this very much a one-off, or is this something that has happened previously?
In terms of there's two issues. Like I said, the property, plant and equipment valuation issue has arisen this year specifically because of the change in. It's about how to ensure that the assets are held at current value, and the significant movement in building costs has meant further work had needed to be done to ensure that was still valid this year, and that work has been done by the council, and we've just concluded our work on that. The infrastructure assets is a separate issue again, and this is something that's across England, Scotland, Wales as well. It's an issue that's been raised about how local government are accounting for component replacing elements of infrastructure assets. It's complex, and there's work with SIP for ongoing as to how that issue gets resolved, and how that will need to be taken forward as well. So yes, it's come up this year. It's never previously been a significant area of audit risk infrastructure, but it is very much something that's across all of bodies for this year, and we'll have to see how it gets taken forward then in the future. Is that sufficient? Thank you.
Mark, I understand you've got a question.
Diolch, Julie, for the report. I fully appreciate that things come along which you weren't aware of and you have to take account of, as you've just described there. So the work is ongoing, but have you got any estimate as to the timescale of when you might be able to report back on this, take account of this particular issue?
No, I don't have a specific one. I'm very sorry. We have pretty much almost coming to the end of our audit work, pending the outcome of the SIP from Welsh Government view, to be honest. So I'm hoping as soon as we get that view as to how nationally we're taking this forward, we'll be in a position to close quite quickly on the back of that. But I haven't got anything further at the moment. I understand it. It could be another 4 to 8 weeks, but I haven't got a specific timeline. I'm sorry.
Please don't apologise. I fully appreciate that. That's okay.
I wish I did. Thank you.
Are there any other questions at all? Okay, perhaps we should move on to Bethany.
Thank you. So the rest of the report is on the performance audit work. So I think it's page 26 in your agenda pack. I'm not going to go into any great detail, but the next couple of pages summarise the performance audit work. And then, as you can see, the 2021 work, that's going to be coming to an end soon, and we're progressing through with 2022-23 performance audit work now. The next stages of the report is about the local government and national studies. So in the next couple of weeks, there'll be a report out on poverty study, social enterprise, and building social resilience. And then further down, there's an update from Estyn and CIW, Care Inspectorate Wales, on their work programme. And further down, then there's a list of the national reports and outputs published by Audit Wales, a list of our blogs, and also good practice events that are ongoing as well. So that's the quarterly update on that. I'm happy to take any questions on the performance work.
Do we have any questions?
Don't think so.
No, doesn't look like it. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have anything more to present to the meeting? Sorry, Beth, can you hear me okay?
Sorry.
Do you have any more to present at all?
Not on the quarterly updates, no, that unless there's any questions on the work programme. So we present the report.
So you can move on to the recommendation.
Okay. Can we move on to the recommendations for this now, which you remind which days are on? Please go on. Can't see. It's just for noting.
So it's
okay.
just whether all members are happy to
Yeah, are all members happy for us to note the contents of the report? Thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, thank you to Bethany and Julie for their presentation. Are you going to stay with us, or are you going to go back to other tasks?
We'll be staying if that's okay.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so we move on to agenda item 7. Some mid-year prudential indicators and Treasury Management Monitoring Report. Sharon.
I'll start again. Just have to keep reminding me. Thank you, Chair. Morning again, everyone. Essentially, I'm carrying on from the report presented at last Audit Committee, whereby Dave Lilly provided a summary of Treasury Management activities for 21-22. So in this report, we are outlining Treasury Management activities for the first half of the financial year 22-23. I think the first point to mention is that many of the changes in the figures have occurred as a result of SITFA's deferred implementation of the reporting standard for leasing, whereby it is considered necessary to bring all leased assets onto the balance sheet. This is an accounting adjustment only, but nevertheless, as there is no confirmed implementation date for these figures, we have removed this from the report until we have more clarity. Our capital expenditure plans have been revised within paragraph 4.1, table 1, and you will notice we now have a new service area of communities, customer and digital, and changes in this budget over the period is due to reprofiling of spend on the British. 21st Century Schools again continues to remain a prominent area of spend, and there's also been an element of slippage in spend from 21-22. Capital expenditure is funded in line with the figures shown in paragraph 4.2, table 2, and the CFR, capital financing requirement, or our notional debt position in table 3, has moved due to the decommissioning of Teacock Solar Farm scheme and the inclusion of the Green Meadow Community Farm spend in 23-24. We continue with an under-borrowed position so far for 22-23 as we have used our cash balances to repay debt without locking into additional long-term borrowing. On the 8th of August, we repaid 5.5 million in LOBO loans, which are lenders' options, borrowing options, and no replacement borrowing has been taken to date, but is being considered with the aim of securing more favourable loan terms, but also maintaining a smooth loan portfolio timeline. Interest rates have increased considerably over the period, and together with inflated investment balances has resulted in increased investment returns. We continue to look at our investment options in line with specified criteria and the safety of the principal invested. As mentioned in paragraph 4.9, as a result of a formal tendering process, there's been a change to the service provider for both treasury management and leasing, and the consultancy services will now be provided by Link Group. All in all, it's been quite an eventful 6 months, but we continue to consider all of our options, as always, and hope that a new relationship with Link will enhance this further. So thanks for your time and attention. We'll now take any questions.
Are there any questions from the members?
Councillor Jones.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you for the report. Thank you for the report. I think you mentioned there about more favourable borrowing terms in the future. Is that possible in the current climate?
It actually is, because the rates that we locked into at the time that the LOBO loans were taken were considerably higher than the rates available now. So we would be able to secure savings by repaying the loans that we've already repaid.
Okay.
So there are more questions here?
That looks like, is it, Chair?
No. Is that Alan or is it? Help if I turn the microphone on there. So, members, the recommendations are on page 47 of the agenda. Could you please state if you are against the recommendations or wish to abstain? Otherwise, I will take them as agreed. Agreed? Good, thank you. So we're now moving on to the update report on the action plan for governance and improvement. Tom Roberts is going to present the report for us. Yeah?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. The report I'm presenting today is your 6-month update on the action plan for governance and improvement. The report presented provides an update on the progress made delivering actions associated with external audit work under the portfolio of this committee. Furthermore, the report also includes details of new external audit reports and recommendations received by the Council, in line with the agreed reporting protocol agreed by this committee, and informs the group of any scrutiny work that has been undertaken reviewing progress made against mitigating the recommendations proposals for improvement. As noted in 4.1 of the report, Appendix 1 provides an update for October 2022 on the actions this committee is continuing to monitor. Please note, where officers feel that a recommendation has now been fully actioned, a suggestion has been made to remove it from your monitor. Providing members are happy to do so, these will be removed for future monitoring. Under 4.2 of the report, since the last Governance and Audit Committee, there has been 2 new relevant external audit reports. Firstly, we have received the findings of a local study undertaken by Audit Wales, which is called Springing Forward, which focuses on our plans around asset management and the workforce. The 5 recommendations and actions will be added to the action plan for governance and improvement for future monitoring by this committee. The report is set out in full in Appendix 2. Secondly, a national report, Public Sector Readiness for Net Zero Carbon by 2030, has been received. The report doesn't make any formal recommendations, but does make a number of calls for action which are listed in the report. The Council's progress implementing these calls for action will be considered by the Cross-Cutting Resources and Business Overview and Scrutiny Committee as part of its regular review of the Council's Climate and Nature Emergency Action Plan. Finally, under 4.3 of the report, you can see the outcome of work undertaken by scrutiny committees and the outcome of them. That is the removal of 2 reports that have previously been under the review by Audit Wales. I think that concludes my short introduction. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from members? No? Okay. Any questions from the Chamber? No? Okay. Members, the recommendations are on page 52 of the agenda. Could you please state if you are against the recommendations or wish to abstain? Otherwise, I'll take them as agreed. Agreed? Thank you. Okay. Agenda item 9, complaints handling review. Chris Coulson, the Complaints and FOI team leader, you're going to present the report for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Morning, everyone. So I'm here today to provide an overview of the work undertaken by the complaints team during the last financial year to enable you to review and assess the authority's ability to effectively handle complaints. So as you're aware, the Local Government and Elections Act 2021 gives the Governance and Audit Committee a new defined assurance role around complaints, and the committee is therefore asked to review and assess the authority's ability to handle complaints effectively and make clear comments and any recommendations. So as you'll no doubt be aware, there's currently a central team which deals with all complaints and FOI EIR requests coming into the authority, and we work with teams to collate the feedback and information to coordinate responses. So we work closely with the teams to analyse the complaints and review the lessons learned, developing relationships and providing them with the support. So we're following 2 separate processes. The first is the Social Services Complaints Procedure Wales Regulations and Representations Procedure Wales Regulations 2014 for social care, with all other complaints regarding central council service areas dealt with via the corporate complaints procedure. So the key details from the report regarding the performance during 21-22, we received a total of 92 complaints, 71 at stage 1, 3 at stage 2 and 18 via the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales, and a full breakdown is included in Appendix 1. This was an increase of 22.6% on the previous financial year, where there was a total of 75 complaints. The team also dealt with an additional 1,109 contacts to the formal complaints logged, which was up by 30.8% on the previous year. We're also logging the compliments that we're notified of from service users, and last year we had 112, which was slightly up on the previous year. So regarding our response rates, the agreed target is for 95% to be responded to within the time frame stated in the separate procedures. Our compliance rate last year was at 95.39%. There has been difficulty to benchmark across authorities previously because we all work slightly differently. There's been no recording. But from April 2021, the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales started collecting performance information from local authorities on a quarterly basis, and this is now published on their website, and the link to that is included within the report. The Ombudsman's Office also provides comparison figures in its annual letter that relates to the numbers of complaints they receive by local authority. The numbers did increase from 12 to 18, and the number per 1,000 was at 0.19% with 2 interventions. And full details are attached to Appendix 2. So obviously we're always looking at how we can improve service delivery by considering and acting upon the intelligence that we receive through the inquiries and complaints that come through to us. Training is key, and the Ombudsman has previously provided us with training virtually, and the offer has been repeated now that they are in a position to do so. So we will be looking to engage them and try to reach as many people across the authority to take part in that. And also ensuring that we're capturing and reporting our contacts in an appropriate manner. So the risk is that if any residents or the Ombudsman feels that we aren't taking complaints seriously or dealing with them appropriately, there's a risk to reputation. The team is currently undertaking a review of how the complaints and contacts are recorded to ensure that they are accurately captured. We hold regular meetings with key officers in service areas and attend team meetings to make people aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and also to build the relationships and understanding on both sides. I attend a monthly meeting with the Head of Adult and Children's Services. Again, this helps with communication and helps our own understanding of the process involved in that arena. And we work with teams to look at the internal and external communication so that staff and the public understand what expectations they can have. Also, we share the information published on the Public Services Ombudsman website regarding their own investigations and outcomes with the appropriate service areas, as that is useful learning. Okay, so that's everything. Any questions? Welcome to take. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Are there any questions Chris, with regards to the presentation? Yes.
Councillor Williams.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you very much. First to say it's very helpful to see such a comprehensive report and sort of some of the examples. Second point is it's just a small one to note, really. I think there's perhaps some benefit in reporting the change in complements and percentage terms as the same as complaints, because then it helps balance up the picture, perhaps. Finally, it's just to sort of say that you noted, I think, a 30.8% increase, and I just wondered if there were any perhaps considerations behind that. For example, is it because that there has been more direct contact with service users, or any kind of factors that you think might have contributed to that?
Thank you, Councillor. With regard to the increase, I think there's been a number of reasons. I think people are more aware of who we are and what we do, and that we are there to assist and to help people. There have been some issues in certain service areas, which has caused an increase in customer contact. So we've been working with them to address those issues. But I think it's that collaborative approach now that we are seeing that people are looking to us as an alternative if they need to speak to somebody and are looking to reach a resolution.
Thank you for that. Are there any more questions at all on this report? Mark?
Diolch, Michael. Yes, this is a very useful, and as Councillor Williams said earlier, very comprehensive report, and obviously it's a new role for our committee to monitor progress that the council is making with dealing with this. I think we shouldn't get too despondent about the fact that there may be an increase in complaints. The important thing is how we actually deal with those complaints and learn from them and make sure that we it doesn't happen again. What I would welcome as a new member of the committee, and to help me in my role of monitoring this issue, you mentioned training. I would welcome, for all members of the committee to have a briefing, an overview, if you like, of the process of how a complaint is handled by the officers within the council. I think that would be useful. I don't mean that we need to get into the nitty-gritty of how it's dealt with, but the principles involved, so that we can make sure that it's all done. It's all done properly. Something else that I think would be of value to the committee is that perhaps in future reports we had perhaps an example of a complaint, and going through the timeline of it, and the actions that resulted from it, so that we could see that in a particular service area that this issue has come up, but it has been dealt with. I know that a neighbouring local authority in this particular report lists basically every complaint, which I'm not looking for. That's far too much. But if we had one or two examples from time to time, then I think that would be useful. But the main thing is some training, a briefing, an overview. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Councillor, for that. Yeah, we have done induction training in the past, and we can work on that to sort of beef that up a bit and deliver that to the committee, just so that you have that wider understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Yeah, happy to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any more questions at all?
Councillor Williams wants to come back in.
Okay. Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Chair. I think what I also found very helpful was the Ombudsman report, and obviously Torfaen fared well in terms of the proportion of complaints per 1,000 residents. I think the best of all the local authorities. So that would suggest that the internal complaints procedures are working fairly well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting those going on to the Ombudsman. So I think that's a positive story that we should be taking account of in this committee, and I think it's very helpful to have that kind of data, comparison data.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any more questions at all? Okay, many thanks for that. Members, the recommendations are on page 107 of the agenda. Could you please state if you're against the recommendations or wish to abstain? Otherwise, we'll take them as agreed. Okay. Agreed. Thank you. Thanks for your report. Okay, we're moving on to agenda item 10, the internal audit, progress against operational plan 2022 to 23. Peter Williams, the head of internal audit and procurement. Present your report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, everyone. This is the quarterly update of where we are in terms of the agreed audit plan. Just to give a bit of context, the audit plan was agreed by the Audit Committee in draft in March and then fully in June 2022. Since then, we've been carrying on with trying to deliver the programme. In terms of the key messages, I think I've repeated before that we now sort of fully operating on a sort of hybrid Teams home working basis, and it's working quite well, and that has become the sort of norm for the way we do the work. In terms of the achievement of the overall audit plan, we are currently achieved 33% against a target of 65%, so I've got no concerns over that. And obviously, that's the whole plan in terms of all the jobs in the plan, some 130 odd as listed in the appendices. There's also what I call a plan within a plan, which is the core systems which we audit on an annual basis. There's some 11 or 12 major systems that we perform those audits on. and so far we've achieved 22% of those targets. But that's on target because they are staggered throughout the year and they are arranged at certain key times. So no concerns about no changes to resources. In terms of the reports themselves, the appendix report gives all the sort of progress to date where we are in terms of the work we've done and the opinions to date. There are no significant issues I need to bring to your attention. I think the only one that probably ranks for a comment is we did an audit of community halls governance, which is where we have some 19 or 20 different community halls throughout the borough, which are usually run by management agreements. We've done an audit of that in the current year, and the opinion is only limited, which means only half the controls are actually in place. There are various factors there. We couldn't find some of the agreements, some of the duty of care stuff hasn't been done, etc. But what I intend to do on that is to do a follow-up within 6 to 9 months and then report back on the progress of that, which will hopefully will be a positive one. Other than that, I think the opinions are quite good. They're either full, substantial, and no other issues I'd bring to your attention at this time, but quite happy to take any questions. Thanks very much.
Are there any questions from members? No? Okay, thank you. So the recommendations are on page 131 of the agenda. Could you please state if you're against the recommendations or wish to abstain? Otherwise, we'll take them as agreed. Yeah? Agreed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. Agenda item 11, Audit Committee Work Programme. This report has been included for information only. Peter Williams, Head of Internal Audit and Procurement, may wish to comment, perhaps, Peter?
Thank you, Chair. This is the sort of skeleton of the work programme for the Audit Committee, which we produce on an annual basis. All the reports that have been scheduled to come to the committee have actually come to the committee. The only one we're waiting on, which is one which Audit Words touched on earlier, where we probably have a special meeting to deal with the statement of accounts when in position to be signed off. We anticipate, hopefully, sometime between now and January. January 2023, hopefully, not January 2024. And all the other the future committees are on there and with the proposed items for agenda. Obviously, like I said, this is the skeleton, and they could be supplemented by any other reports we receive from other external regulators or other things that need to be brought to the attention of the committee. But so far, we're on programme and we've received the reports we should have to date.
Thank you, Peter. Does anybody have any comment or questions for Peter on that particular issue? No? Thank you. I notice it's only for information only, so yeah, thank you. Doing this, thank you. Okay, so I think that's the end of the reports and presentations this morning. The date of the next meeting is 18th of January 2023. Thank you for everyone for your attendance and your contributions. I will now close the meeting. Thank you very much.